lights. You recording?
There's
We
camera
live?
action going
Are we
on.
live?
Let me make sure. Let me make sure that I don't.
Are we live?
Hopefully, I
No.
don't get canceled, man. Don't ask me softball questions, man. You know, it's very.
You don't
sensitive.
get you trying to avoid getting canceled?
I mean, I don't know.
How did
man.
they cancel you?
I mean, I don't know, man.
Who's canceling you?
Man.
What group is canceling you?
You know what? That's when you create a life and you don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? But I don't want to have to fend off the, you know.
Who's gonna cancel you?
Ain't nobody's gonna cancel me.
You ever heard of Fringe podcasts?
Today I have.
Yeah, first time ever.
Yeah.
Who's canceling you? Like, who could even cancel you?
I don't know, man. You know, you're on certain boards and stuff like that. People get all politically correct and all that. You know, I'm the complete opposite of politically correct.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're joining my.
Yes, I
join
just
my
typically
board.
just keep my mouth shut. You know what I mean?
I told someone today, I was like, well, if I had a personal board of directors, she'd be on it.
That's a good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fire you off the board of direct, like from the board of directors seat. You'll be safe over here. You will always have my vote on the board of directors.
So for the first time in my entire life, I heard someone pronounce your name Kalana. How do you say your name?
My mother named me Kalana.
Kalana. That's how I say it.
And that is how it's pronounced. You'd be surprised. I can see someone introduce myself as Kalana. 2 minutes later, they say Kalana. So I tell everyone Kalana's my alias.
Alias.
Yeah.
Is it like your alter ego?
It's no alter ego.
No?
No, alter ego, the same.
Same person, just
yeah,
alias.
the same person, just my alias. Yeah, because I mean, you can tell people 20 times your name's Kalana, and you know, they ever mess it up in 5 minutes.
So you've been working with us a long time. You've done a lot of things now. It's been 2-3 years. That's like
more
that's
than
like
that. Remember we did something in Stanford.
Well, we
on the
did something
panel.
in Stanford way back.
Yeah,
But we got back together about 3 years ago,
Mhm.
and we've done a lot of work together. What do you do for a living? How would you explain it?
A lot of people might miss this reference, but I say that I got the same job as Tommy from Martin. You probably don't know that reference.
I know Martin,
guys know that
but I don't
reference?
know Tommy, man. Tommy,
You know
that-
Martin the show, right?
Yeah, that goes way back.
So
like,
everybody-
90s.
yeah, so
You're-
everybody would
You're not
say-
even old enough for that.
Come on, man. I
Come
grew up on that. Come on. I'm a 90s kid. Born in the 80s and 90s kid. So the thing with Tommy from Martin was everyone would say, he would always say, I'm going to work. And everyone would say, Tommy, you don't have no job. You know what I mean? So no, because no one ever know what he did. But for me, I work in construction. Electrical construction,
Telecom.
telecom, electrical, digital signage, access security, anything like low voltage, something that's not necessarily, you know, everyone's jumping up and becoming an electrician or to be pulling cable every day. But yeah, that's what pays the bills.
For a lot of people, they would go to your Wikipedia page and read through it and then go, what do you mean she's in construction?
Mhm.
Did you wake up one day and you were like, oh, I think I'm going to get into telecom construction?
Hell no. Telecom, every day. I mean, I just gave you a story about one of my employees. I want to quit right now. Based off some people like but
well, when he hears this in 2 weeks, he'll quit. Yeah.
He won't hear it. Trust me. If he doesn't read his emails, I hope he's not listening to the podcast. Well, basically, you know, I was playing basketball professionally, traveling in Europe, playing here in the States, and sports is pretty finite, right? You know it's going to end soon. You don't know how, when, but you know that you're going to not be playing sports probably in the next 5 to 10 years. So what are you going to do after? So back then, the WNBA was a different league than it is now, and salaries weren't as good as they are now. CBAs, marketing deals, TV deals didn't really exist. So I started looking for ways outside of the sport to hopefully generate an income so that I'm not, you know, having to go work for someone else. Like I know I can find a way to do something. One of my cousins, which is actually my business partner and my mentor, I would come home from overseas and, you know, we'd be chopping it up. And he said, you know what, you'll be good at this. You should get into contracting. I'm like, yeah, sure, bro. I'm going to be playing basketball for a very long time. I'm going to make millions of dollars and you're never going to see me, right? And then he eventually started sending me emails and just saying FYI. nothing else. And then there'd be full email trails. And I'm seeing email trails with like spelling errors, grammatical errors, but like it's contracts closed. I'm like, this stuff is not, it doesn't seem like it's that hard. You just have to be persistent. And after a while, I just started kind of learning from those emails. And then 2012, while I was in the WNBA season, I put out a bid for something and won it. And that one bid, my profit was more than my salary in the WNBA. And that was one contract. And that contract took, I think, 30 days, no more than 40 days, 45 days. It took me maybe 45 days to get paid. But I'm like, this is more than I get in the league.
Yeah, 3 months later.
Yeah, I'm like, if I can do this a few times a year, I don't need this, right? And so I just started, learning the game, learning ins and out, trying to work on my professional development. Being an athlete, we're so skilled at so many things. But when you get into the corporate world, how do you communicate? How do you communicate efficiently? How do you reach out to potential customers and clients? How do you actually operate a business? So I started teaching myself on certain things about that. And then 12, 14 years later, look at me.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like, what professional athlete, right? Like you come in loaded with all sorts of beliefs and thoughts. And I think one of the pieces that I've come to realize is that professional athletes are not a homogeneous group, right? Like everybody's different, and like you'll find the most organized people, you, and the most unorganized people at the table. So you don't have the exact same thing, right? And so you look at it, were you looking at that pathway, that career? You just said, I knew it was going to end. I don't hear that from a lot of athletes while they're playing. I mean, and even at the end, they're still like, how do I do something?
If they're not thinking about it, they're delusional. If they never thought about it, it's a delusion. Like, everyone, here's the, you can hurt your knee and never play again. That's real, right? Yeah. That's not you getting cut. That's not you performing. That's an injury that can happen within an instant, not even on the court. You can be walking down the street and twist your ankle, and now you are done for your career. Or you can be riding a motorcycle or something, and fall off of it, and you're done for your career. And if you're not prepared, at least with the mindset that I have to pivot, right? Some people think that I'm gonna be in this lane of sports forever. And you can't think that way, because, I mean, like these guys who are 50 and 60-year-old NBA legends, they haven't played a game in a long time, right? 40 years, 50 years, they haven't played the game. You have to know it's going to come to an end, either by your age, either by an injury, either if a team cuts you, right? Like, you have to know it's going to come to an end. And so that's why, you try to work by saving and investing if you have the resources to do so. But you have to look at how am I going to earn consistently every single month? And I mean, it was a no-brainer for me, making $40,000 a year playing basketball. I was like, you know what? How can I earn consistently and not have to go overseas and play ball for 12 months, not be away from my family and friends? And it's not an easy decision to make, but it's like, if you understand that, if you put your mind to it, there's money out there. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need a lot to live, but if you can figure out a way to make $50,000 just on contracting once a year while you're working another job, that's another source of income that and a skill that you're developing, so that you can, really create a life outside of your profession, or, oops.
That was you.
Yeah, that was me.
That's all right.
That's all right.
You won't be able to get it now.
That's fine. That's all right.
So that's a lot of foresight, and that's a lot of thought process that I don't see with the most average college athletes in sports that don't pay even the professional athletes, right? Like, you go to field hockey and you'll see some delusion in there. Like, I'm going to go play professional in England, like, and do what job while you do it, right? But like, why do you think athletes have such a hard time accepting the end of their career?
I think athletes have a hard time doing that because it's kind of like writing your will, right? Like, oh, I'm going to die. I don't want to think about who I'm giving all my stuff to. I don't think about who's going to be the power of attorney, right? Because you're not in touch with your mortality. You know what I mean?
So why did you hit that? Like, what's interesting about your story is you accelerated out.
Listen, I've been injured before. I had an injury in college, 2007, my sophomore year, that I tore my ACL, my LCL, and my meniscus. I mean, I tore my whole knee up, right? And, you know, you're this promising athlete. Most of my game was identified on running and jumping and how fast I was. And now it's like, if she comes back, will she be as fast? Can she jump? Can she do anything she's known for? And you're like, damn, like, I might be done. You know what I mean? You don't want to think like that, but it's like, I might be done, right? I had an injury that I had, I think I had 3 surgeries in 6 months. So I had the original reconstructive surgery, and then I had 2 scopes within like months at a time afterwards. And so it wasn't like an easy sale process. And you're thinking to yourself like, damn, am I going to be back? You know, not being able to put my foot on the ground for 2 months.
What was it like that first time you pivoted?
Scary as hell, man. Like, it's like, you haven't, like, my feet didn't touch the ground and this leg didn't bear weight for months and months and months. And now the first time the bottom of your foot touches the ground, it's a sensation that I can't even explain, because it feels so foreign, right? Yeah. That like my foot and my knee is holding up the weight of my body. And so you are anxious, you're nervous, and you're scared. Like, will it just snap back out? And you know, would I be able to play again? Will I be able to run again? Those are the questions that I had to ask myself, because it wasn't an easy yes, that I will be playing again. I will be as good as I was before, right? I did end up better in certain ways. I wasn't as fast, and I wasn't as, couldn't jump as high, but my IQ for the game went up astronomically. But that don't guarantee you anything in this game. You see a lot of players who don't know shit about the game playing. So
yeah.
So I mean, I was in touch with my mortality early. And so I knew I had to pivot.
Plenty of people do that, and they don't accelerate out of sports. And like you hit the gas and you said, let's go make some money.
I mean, listen, man, I'm a hustler, man. I grew up, you know, helping my mom and my family cater events, right?
Tell GP that's a clip. I'm a hustler.
I'm a hustler, man. Like, come on. Like, I had jobs all the time because I didn't want to have to ask my parents for money, right? I had, working at pizza shops, shoe stores, radio stations, like whatever. I mean, being a DJ's roadie and carrying all that stuff, like,
tequila.
You know what I mean?
Tequila nights?
Tequila Cove. Shout out to Tequila Cove on stores. They tore it down for downtown stores now, but shout out to Tequila Cove.
So that hustler in you, it translated to the corporate world. It
absolutely.
Translated to life.
Because when you get a job, a 9-to-5 job, sometimes you lose the hustle because every 2 weeks you got a check coming in. So regardless of really what's happening, you have a check coming in. You know exactly what you're going to get paid. When you start your own business and you don't know what you're doing, like how I was, man, you might not see a check for 180 days. So when you do get a check, you have to make that stretch for the unknown period of time because you don't know when the next one's coming in. So that fire kind of lights up on you and like, all right, I gotta get more, I gotta do more. I gotta, pivot, man, and adjust and improvise and just try to make stuff happen. And not having to check every 2 weeks, that'll make some people hustle if you build for it. That's why everybody's not built for stuff like that.
No, I think, why do you think there's such overlap between athletes and entrepreneurship like that?
I believe there's an overlap between athletes and entrepreneurship because we know how to work with others. And when I say that, I mean, you're working with people who you're working with teams, right? And not everyone on your team is a stellar athlete, right? You might have someone that you have to drag a long way. You might have someone that you can't stand, right? But they're really good at what they do. But you have to work with them, right? Mm-hmm. So with athletes, we do that every single day. We're on the road with people that we don't like necessarily. We're, sleeping in the same hotel rooms and, on the bus with these people 24/7.
Man, I know all your teammates.
Hey,
you gotta
listen,
like all
I'm mostly talking about the pro level.
The pro level. Yeah.
College level, I love
that's because like the Notre Dame kids go to the pros too. Yeah,
riff-raff. Yeah. It can't. If there was 114 or 140 slots for all UConn players, it would work. Yeah, but you got to bring some of the riff-raff in sometimes.
That's the most iconic women's sport team in the world at this point. UConn women's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most iconic jersey.
Yeah.
What's it feel like to put that on and walk out into Gamble?
Man, I would just give a shout out to Gino and CD because they created a culture there that is, when you're there, you don't really quite understand what you're going through. But when you come back, like we did a few weeks ago and honored them for their 40th year and all-time winningest coach in basketball history, men or women. And you look back and like, damn, I was a part of those wins, right? What a lot of people may not realize is we don't have our names on the back of the jersey. Like, because the mantra is the name on the back doesn't matter, it's the name on the front. And that's the culture that that they've implemented. And, you know, when we walk on the court, we're very proud because we've been tested like none other. You know what I mean? Before we get to a game, practices are so much harder. The games seem easier at times. You know what I mean?
What's that feel like when you hear Gamble? Because, like, the other thing is there ain't many women's venues like Gamble. Tennessee?
I
What's
played,
on that level? What's on that level?
You know, I know that when we played certain teams, the arena was always filled, right? We always knew that we were going to be on everyone's highlight reel. So every arena had more attendance than ever because we were showing up, right? Like it was a circus in town. And I've seen environments like, for instance, we played Duke one year at Cameron Indoor. And I still remember this picture of Tiffany Hayes, like taking the ball out of bounds, and all the Cameron crazies, like raising their arms over her. I don't think Duke's seen a crowd before or after that, since that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, with us in Connecticut, like, you know, we were the best team in the nation a lot of times, blowing out teams by 30 and 40 points. But every night, our fans were still there as if all the games were going to be close, right? So, I mean, I've been in a lot of arenas. I've watched a lot of games. When you walk on that floor, you know that you're going to get your opponent's toughest, but you also know that you're probably going to whoop their behind, right?
Yeah.
And not because it's your right, it's because you're prepared to do so. And so we were always prepared.
That dominant mentality, I think, when I think of coached teams, it starts in the first minute.
Oh, yeah.
Really well-coached teams beat the other team in the first minute.
Oh, yeah. So we... Renee Montgomery, my college roommate, now the part owner of the Atlanta Dream.
We should probably call her and be like, yo.
Yeah, she probably won't answer. Renee's very busy right now.
Yeah.
But we used to huddle up before the game starts, before tip-off. And the first TV timeout comes around like 4 or 5 minutes. So we would say as a team, let's try to go on a 8-0 run in the first 5 minutes of the game. That was our objective. And Tina, I need you to get this amount of rebounds before the first TV timeout. And, you know, let's say if we set a marker for 10 points and we only got 8, we still didn't achieve our goal, right?
Yeah.
But that's the pressure we put on ourselves. But before the game start, we want to be the first, like have the first punch. We want to make the first punch in the first 5 minutes and take their hearts out. And that same thing when it comes to the second half. So yeah, we were always trying to set many goals each game. And when you said those, you know, that's how we were able to have such large leads. Because that's how we, you know, broke down the game.
Is there a better place to play than Gamble?
No.
Nowhere. Not in the W. Not in Europe.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
You've been to a lot of games. Like you're not just as a player. You're a fan.
I mean,
there
may be some European teams, you know, because the culture is a little bit different. So, you know, like people smoking cigarettes in the stands, and people throwing shit at you. Like, you know, it's a little bit different.
University of Kentucky, the hockey rink, they pour beers over the
nice.
wall. Yeah. So that's you go into the wall and they pour a beer on top of your head.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, nothing quite like that, but like Gamble and even the XL Center, it's still called the XL Center?
Yeah, I think so. For like 3 more days or something, 4 more days.
Because it was
it's almost done.
I just had to
December 31st. It's all done.
Yeah, I had to remind myself. I still call it the Civic Center for a while.
Yeah, the Harvard Civic Center. That's what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, like even that place was like rocking, man. Like if you couldn't fit the 10,000 in Gamble, you're gonna come and get 16 or 17 in Hartford, and it's the same type of energy. But we always like to be home because Gamble is a home game. You just kind of walk down from the hill. You know, you don't have to go to a hotel, go to Hartford in the midday. So Gamble is always the best place to play. So much energy. And the student section is crazy always at Gamble. Always.
when you look around at your teammates, at those that came before you, those that came after you, do you think I'm part of this sorority or fraternity of like exceptionalism? Like it's not just the team. It's like you look at those people. How do you like not compare your career to Renee or compare your career to Rebecca Lobo or Super? How do you slot into UConn and be the best you?
Well, I'm gonna just put it this way. Nobody's career is the same. No one's career's path is the same. Every player contributes in a different way, right? So even players who may not have seen as many minutes are still as important to our team because it's the preparation that makes us get to the point that we get to. I will say for my career, I was fortunate enough with my injury to have like 8 games in one season, and we made it very far into season. So I actually do have a record at UConn. And it was actually an NCAA record before COVID came messing everything up. But I played the most games in UConn history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was an NCAA record until like some girl from COVID or something like that. Like, had like 8 years or something like that. But yeah, I say put an asterisk there. And I didn't even know it was a thing until she broke the record, right? But yeah, so I mean, I know that, you know, being there, every player contributes in their own way. And I was a major part of all those teams.
But I think it's fundamentally important for young people to not fall victim to comparison, right?
Oh, yeah.
To be a part of a team.
Yeah.
And like, you're in this environment, it's totally different. Like Sarah Strong coming in this year, right? Like how do you prepare someone to play a role as opposed to like just be comparison and be all about yourself? Like how do they execute that culture over and over again?
We heavily rely on our upperclassmen, right? From freshmen and underclassmen, you can't expect much. Anything they give you is good because you don't expect much from them because they don't know anything. They may be good in high school, but they might not be as good now. They may not be coming in, you know, at their best when you get into college, or they might have some of the freshman blues. So we lean on the upperclassmen to kind of teach the younger players because it doesn't matter how good you are as a freshman or sophomore. In terms of the knowledge of the game, the knowledge of the program and our system, you definitely don't have it, right? And so you have to fit into that. I'll give you an example. My sophomore year, going into my junior year, you know who was coming in behind me?
Who?
And Gino told me, like, I'll give you a funny story. My sophomore year, my freshman year, I played a good amount, but not a lot, right? I wasn't a major contributor. We had a lot of upperclassmen. My sophomore year, I was starting, had some good career highs, and then we lost to LSU in like the Sweet 16 or something like that, right? So I had a great season going from freshman to sophomore year. I go into my exit meeting with coach. He's like, man, KG, you had a great season. Really like what you did. He's like, but I don't know if you're going to play next year. I said, what the fuck? He's like, I don't know if you're going to play next year. He said, I got this kid coming in. Her name was Maya Moore. She's the female Michael Jordan. She's going to come in here and like gobble it all up. And so I left my meeting like, dang, I'm not going to play next year? Please, right? So that lit a fire under me for preseason, right? Mm-hmm. And my God, Maya's completely competitive. She is a freak of nature, right? And I know that helped me. But it's so much that I learned from her, but she had to learn a lot from the upperclassmen. Even Maya Moore, one of the greatest to ever do it, in my opinion. Even she had a learning curve when she came to college, right? And you didn't really see it because the upperclassmen and the team shielded other teams and other players from seeing that. So that's kind of what we rely on.
Is that why they're so protective of game day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like
don't let out what we're doing here.
Yeah. No. You prepare all week. You prepare for the first however many days, and now it's time to execute our plan. Now it's just us. Let's keep it in house. Yeah, and let's stay focused, right? And
how much money would you have made if there was name, image, and likeness in your day?
I mean, I can only think about it. I've had dreams about what I would be doing because I was doing certain things back then to earn money, right? I was, working in the summer. I was DJing, and I would have made a shitload of money, man. Because why not? You know what I mean? Like I would have thrown NIL parties once a month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And invite and just charge something at the door, have a drink special, and then break off all my teammates. I would have done that every month if I was there. Because I did parties every week when I was in college.
I still can't figure out why they don't do it anyway. Like, they still don't do it. They're like,
I don't want to make any suggestions for partying and things like that, right? But I would have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would have done that.
We financed an 18-year-old to run for state senate on keg parties, $5 a red Solo cup. And that's how we got him his money to run for state senate.
I mean, people spend their money on shit like that all the time.
Red Solo cups.
Exactly.
Why
can't you raise money on what people spend money on, right? Yeah.
People don't mind spending money on a red Solo cup.
Exactly.
The game has changed, and that's how we've been working together on a lot of different things. And so why do you think there's such a negative reaction with so many people to name, image, and likeness?
I think people have drink the poison pill of amateurism, being a student athlete, right?
Yeah.
And so
how much free time you have as a student athlete?
I mean, when I was in school, our class schedule was based around our practice schedule, right? So it was more like athlete student.
So you have to, you have to lift.
We had to lift. Yeah. You got to do,
physical therapy,
everything, right?
Treatments,
practice.
I need to get on the treatment schedule. That's right? I didn't know what treatments was.
Film, scout, all this stuff, man. Like you have, when I was injured, I still had 8 hours of like workouts and treatment per day.
Yeah.
Recovering from an injury, right? Where am I supposed to go to school? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people get caught up in like,
you got a free scholarship.
Yeah, you got a free scholarship. It's like, come on, man. Like, I never hear people complain about these coaches getting, negotiating multi-year deals, and these players, you get slapped on the wrist if somebody gave them a dinner that wasn't home cooked. You know what I'm saying? Like kids who 1,000 miles away from their parents. So people just drink a pill of that amateurism thing, and not really understanding that people are being exploited. So now, yes, they need to rein it in a bit, but it's evening itself out because players have been exploited for far too long. The NCAA is a not-for-profit.
Yeah,
give me a break, man. You know what I'm saying? Like these people have been.
You ever seen a not-for-profit have that much legal action with it? That they don't shut down?
That they don't shut down, and they don't it was a monopoly on. On people's name, image, and likeness. Like you did not control that once you signed with a university because of your amateur status. So I think the NCAA didn't help with creating that negative. I mean, they helped create that negative sentiment. And I think that's what the public has seen, and that's what they gravitate towards. They just, whatever the big boss says, they just say, okay.
The big boss.
Yeah, that's what the NCAA is, man. Like they just... they come and wag their finger, but they just exploiting us, man. I mean, not now, but we got to exploit it.
Now they're in trouble. I mean, I agree. I fought early on for players' rights in this process and helping players. And like when I look at it, it was like first thing you pay for is mom to come to a game. Mm-hmm. First thing everyone pays for, mom to come to the game. How? Like, food, right? Like, if you're a Dama, you get the UFC fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've heard somebody say something was like, oh, man, we don't want them to get all this money. And they're like buying like, jewelry and all that. I'm like, as this guy rode off on this Bentley.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, like, come on, man. Like, like, let these kids get paid, and whatever they do with their money, that's none of your business. You know what I'm saying? Like, let these people get paid for making you so much money.
If you feel that way, then create something to teach them how to use money well. Don't force them into doing it.
Like I said, they need to mind their business. Yeah. These kids have representation. They have lawyers now. Right. They have teams. And whatever they choose to do with their money is what they choose to do. If they make bad decisions, that's their decision.
Correct.
But it's not, people who want to withhold the money, police what people should do with it.
They don't want to withhold. They want to spend it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, they want to spend it on themselves.
Of course, so that they can have more and more and more. And these kids being exploited, man. Like most of these college kids are coming from, middle and lower class families, man. And like you said, the first thing you want to do is, first thing you always hear kids when they make it to the league, it's like, oh man, I'm gonna buy my mom a house.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay for my mom's mortgage, right? They want to make sure that they're comfortable first, right? And then if they're surplus, let me buy a chain. Let me buy a necklace. Let me buy a watch, right? I earned it. You know what I mean? So that's how I think on that, man.
I've heard so many people complain about that in the process, because I'm floating around the basketball space, and like mostly about the guys. They really don't talk that much about the girls in that process. And I'm like, yeah, but like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, dude, the place is full.
Are they spending your money on what they're buying? No. So
maybe.
No, but I'm saying it's not like if you're gonna give people money with stipulation, give them stipulations, right? But if you're gonna give people money, piss off after that, man. It's none of your business. Like, you know what I mean?
It's definitely an interesting quagmire. And I think people do look at the NCAA and think, oh, this is this great thing that provided it. And like, I go back to all the times that they took someone away from their ability to earn and become a professional because of a randomized enforcement of rules.
I mean, I've seen situations where, like I said, people go to dinner with someone and it wasn't a home-cooked meal, so now they're in violation. Somebody gave a kid some shoes, right? A basketball player who didn't want to wear their team shoes, somebody gave him a few pairs of Jordans or access to that stuff. I've seen them literally suspend coaches and suspend players for violating those type of rules.
Yeah.
Right?
That's not a bag of cash. That's not $80,000 to come to
you're talking about
Tennessee instead of UConn.
You're talking about food and dinner. And you're talking about food and some shoes, man. So maybe, like, it's not like people over here, like, I'm trading you this building I have on the Upper West Side for $80 million. Here you go. Like, you know what I mean? That's not what was happening in the background. It was like people just trying to get, just be comfortable and have a little fun, man.
What would you tell a high school kid that just signed a letter of intent today?
You said to speak to my nephew directly?
Yeah. Yeah. But what would you say? Yeah, speak to him. But I mean, they signed that letter of intent. What would you tell them? Like, I think you just have such an amazing story, and it's at UConn, your story is just another story, right? UConn women's basketball. But like, it's an amazing story when you think of all the student athletes in the world. Like, there's a lot of wisdom there. So
yeah, I mean, I would tell a high school student to write themselves a letter, maybe an email to themselves, and say what they want, right? But not only what they want, how do you want to get to where you want to go, right? And the things you want may change, and the way to get there may change, but at least you're going there with intention. A lot of people are just wandering around hoping things happen to them, and they're not in control of anything, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a marker that you can look at it, you can say, I want to save this amount of money. I want to buy a house. You can say whatever it is that you want to do. I want to be an All-American. I want to be a starter. Set those goals, but not only set the goals, how are you going to get to that? And revisit that often, right? And once you start revisiting that, you would have, I don't want to say control, but at least you'll be aware and conscious of what you said you set, and it'll be up to you to either move and pivot away from those goals, or don't do it at all. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But then you have no one to blame.
But yourself.
And
what's on your goal board right now? What are Kalana's goals for 2025?
My goal is to build a house next year.
A real house?
A real house.
Not in Brooklyn?
No.
Are you moving?
Not necessarily.
Break in here.
No, it's
She's
not
leaving
breaking.
Brooklyn.
No, I'm
going
just saying,
back
like,
to South Carolina. Where are we
so
going?
here's
Where
the
we
thing.
go? Where are we going?
When I say build a house, I'm talking about me physically, like, building it. Like, if it's going to be in South Carolina, I would, or anywhere else, I would build it myself with my own team of people in phases. Try not to get any loans or anything like that. Like, if I'm going to build a house, right, and I were to go to hire you as a general contractor or a developer, you charge me a markup on the labor.
Yeah.
You charge me a markup on the material.
Thank
you charge me a
God.
markup on all that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know why the hell I would pay for people to do that. Because I'm like, I can go buy the materials, I can provide the labor, right?
Yeah.
And then so my cost would be at least 30% less than it would be to hire someone. And so I want to build like, just like so many, very small, humble abodes that I can go and be off grid and kind of, be relaxed on a hammock or something somewhere. So that's my goal for 2025.
Jamaica?
Yeah, that place as well. Yeah, Jamaica. That is.
Why do you love Jamaica? I would have been like, oh, she must be from Jamaica. No, she's from South Carolina.
Yeah.
Why do you love Jamaica so much?
I love Jamaica because, culturally.
They got green.
I mean, it's not that good over there, man. It's not that good.
Yeah.
It's not that good.
Is it the curry then?
So you've sampled it.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's more than that.
Is it the curry? Is it the?
Nah, I just think the culture, man. Like, I'm from the coastal part of Carolina, South Carolina. My people are like Gullah Geechee people. I don't know if you heard of that.
Yeah.
But culturally,
I didn't know that. You hadn't told me that
I'm
before.
Geechee, man. I'm Geechee. Yeah. So culturally, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
We eat the same foods essentially. I mean, it's so many. Most of the people in Jamaica might be family. You never know, right? Because of obvious reasons, right?
Yeah. No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen to like. It's tough when like you're like, well, I got that one Irish. He was like indenture. That's like indenture service. That ain't the same thing.
Yeah.
No,
but so like culturally, I just align with it. When I was looking at places in the Caribbean, because I like to vacation out there. I wanted some place that's easily accessible. I can travel to, right? So a lot of other islands, flights are more expensive. Islands are smaller. If I need to go to Jamaica tomorrow, I can find a flight tonight and be there in 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how accessible it is. If I'm in Jamaica and I need to get back, I have multiple airlines, multiple airports that I can reach out to and get a flight to and from. And I have a lot of folks there, resources. Like I had a Jamaican family take care of me when I was in college, right? So, like when I go over there, it's like I can call people as if I'm a local and I don't get screwed over like a lot of other people, because they will screw you over there if you're not. If you go there just all willy-nilly with no folks, they're gonna screw you over, trust me.
All right, we got a question from one of the students today. Here we go.
Hi, Kalana, big fan here. Curious to know, will you be going back into the world of sports, specifically the business side, anytime soon? Do you see yourself ever stepping foot in that world ever again, or has that chapter closed?
That's from Emily?
That is Emily. How'd you figure out it? Because it says it on there.
I got my glasses.
Man. No, big fan. It's a big fan. She's a big fan. Big fan. Her middle name's Fan.
Yeah, Emily Fan.
Emily Fan. Emily Fan.
Her last name's Fan.
Wong. Emily Fan Wong. She's great.
Her middle name's Big.
Yeah.
Emily Big Fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good question. I'll never say never, right? Sports is booming right now. The business of sports is booming. So I would never say never. I think one of my disadvantages is that I've been in the corporate world for 12 years, but a lot of people don't know that. Right. So,
you didn't have a job.
Exactly.
Why are you going to work?
People always see me in different places. Like, oh, how are you here? Like, what do you do? Like, you can't be doing, anything. So a lot of people don't know what I do.
How did they think you pay for it?
That's my point. That's my question. Like, what?
Were you independently wealthy when you went to UConn?
And just because you don't know what I do doesn't mean that I don't do anything. You know what I'm saying? And
so I mean, you showed your Notion to Tara, and like, she's like, "Oh my God!"
You put me on Notion, man. I spent all night on that thing one day, just like going at it.
Like 3 weeks later, it's like a whole system.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in operations, man. So you gotta,
do it.
Put it together, take it apart, put it back together.
She got no job.
Yeah, I got no job. That's what I'm trying to say.
Who the fuck thinks you got no job?
I'm telling you, people think I'm just a pothead. I just sit at home all day, wake up, and just like the big, the Big Lebowski, wake up in a row, and just like sit there.
The
dude, yeah.
The dude.
I just sit in a row and just smoke joints all day.
Jamaica to that
I mean, you selling a dream, right?
Like some trust fund kid or some shit, like just living off of like what? No. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, like I said, I would never say never. If an opportunity comes up where I can work smarter, not harder. I can still earn. I can still teach others. I can be taught a whole lot. Why not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say no to it.
Well, that's good because like
yeah.
I'm 2025 on my goal board is to bring you some things. So.
Let's do it. I mean, you sent me a job. What was it, for an agent or something? Remember that?
Yeah.
And I sent my resume.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, I sent my resume.
Fuck
I'm
it.
like, why not?
Fuck it.
Why not?
Dude, the worst thing that could happen is you could get like
an offer.
An offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the worst thing. Listen, I've definitely done things like that where it's like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if I'm good. And then I go and sign up for it, and then I get it.
Dude, I got out of law school, and they fired the Red Sox general manager. And I'm like, fuck them. I'm sending my resume.
Yeah.
So I'd like mail it in to Boston. And all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, they're like, Red Sox hiring 26-year-old wonder kid. I'm like, fucking, it's me. I was like, oh my God, they got my age wrong. I'm only 24, but like, it's me.
Yeah.
You know, 23. It was Theo Epstein, right? Like, they made the right choice. They made the right choice. But like, dude, I like got to the headline. I'm like, oh, I got hired.
Yeah. I mean, you got to go after it. Like, I would never say no because, listen, man, I've been in business for a long time. This shit can dry up and I can be.
What would it take? What would it take to get you out of contracting? And would you just give somebody else the business and take your cut? Or would you just get out?
Like, obviously, man, if I build something and I've helped build something, I just try to treat that as annuity and create a process and a system that I can still tap in when I need to. Put people and systems in place so I can, bring in my expertise when needed.
What would it take?
I mean, it would take. I mean, I've been an athlete. It would take a negotiation.
Let's put it out there. Let's
listen,
negotiate.
I would
Is it
need
$300,000 a year? You leave $400. Where do they get you? Where do you show up?
I would definitely be
listening
to offers that are not going to insult.
And you have friends in men's basketball. You have friends in women's basketball.
For sure.
You have friends in other sports.
Yeah.
I mean,
but here's the thing, right? Like I was saying, like for me, and I guess I haven't been hired in a long time.
Right.
Right.
That'd be a challenge.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like for me, like I said, a lot of people don't know what I do, so they assume I do nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not about to walk around trying to get hired. Trying to show people what I can do. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm like, oh, this is what I've done for myself.
Yeah.
All of these years.
And I've done it all to come work for you.
Yeah, like so that I know that'll be a challenge, right? And right. I know before you can be a general, you gotta be a soldier, right? So I am not one of those people that think I'm a general on all levels. But
yeah, you paid your dues.
Yeah, I definitely pay my dues in sports. I mean, my knowledge.
How many times do you have to chase down a paycheck in Europe or some shit like that? Right?
I mean, I gave up on chasing them. I was still chasing something. I gave up on it a few years ago, man. So yeah, like I'm not. It would have to be something that they will respect my experience, respect the things that I'm good at, right? But I don't know, trying to sell it to someone that I'm good at what I do. Yeah, that'd be hard for me because I'm like, man, I know I'm good at what I do, right?
It's interesting because like I think a lot of students would look at that and say, oh, there's a pro career and she's doing contracting, so she must want to get back into the pro space, but into the sports space, but like that's not the drive, right?
Nah, it's not the drive because look, man, you can be the GM of a team and then you get fired. You can be the coach of a team and you get fired. You can be an agent and you get no more clients, right? So you're still gonna have to build and sustain something. And like I say, sports is heavily saturated. A lot of people want to be in it right now. So for me, it would have to be a situation where it just is an attractive offer that I can have certain guarantees, right? I'm not gonna be gone in like I gotta have at least 3 years that I'm guaranteed with something. At least.
And like you're probably not an assistant coach running around the country.
Hell no.
Gym to gym to gym to gym.
No. I don't know if I've gotten offers earlier back, years ago, some of my old coaches and asked me, oh, you'd be great at coaching, you should come into. And I'm like, man, I'm not sure if I can coach pros and be kissing these people ass all day because they give you the ass to kiss in the pros, like the players. They do, right? I see people do that. So I don't know if I can fall in line there. And the college level, I don't know if I can sit there being recruiting 15 and 16 and 17-year-old girls like, please come to my... Like that stuff will be very challenging for me. So that's why I don't know if I even fill those shoes. Because I wouldn't be able to give as a coach my all, like all those coaches that were there for me. I wouldn't be able to do that. Because like I said, I don't care that
You
much.
have to love the player as much as you teach them. Like,
And I'm telling you, I don't know if I would love them.
yeah, I feel you. I feel you. I got to tell you, someone asked me last semester, are you ever going to teach this class again? And I was like, I don't think so. And the number one reason, like I told him straight up, like the number one reason is I don't think students appreciate it.
They don't.
And so I'm not feeling it. And so like I see my future teaching people that have already achieved something.
Mm-hmm.
Like have already proven, put in the time to prove they're exceptional.
Yeah.
But like a kid anymore, I don't know if I've lost it or not. But
Yeah, I mean, even when it comes to mentoring kids, right?
Yeah.
Like even on like a middle school and a high school level, like I've told a lot of the kids that I've mentored or try to mentor, like, listen, I've been there, done that. Like seriously, like I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care. Like if you go, like if you just whatever happens with you, I wish you the best, but I can't care more than you care, right? Because I know when I was a young buck, my mom had to come look for me because we were outside playing ball somewhere. You know what I'm trying to say? Like we were fighting over the TV so I can see the basketball games, the NBA games on TNT or TBS or TNT or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I always wanted it. All my teammates, even the ones who didn't really go and play to the next level, we've wanted it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how to teach you winning the game. I don't know how to teach your effort, and I won't even try to.
right.
So if you're not hungry for it, I'm not about to be calling you.
Yeah, that's,
You know what I'm saying?
that's one of the
so all the
pieces.
kids that like I deal with, they are hungry.
Yeah.
And the ones who are hungry, I give them
Food.
everything.
Yeah, you give them food.
Exactly. Whatever you need from me, bug me. Like, because you're hungry. Because, listen, when I do sales and business development, a lot of times, it's just cold calling and email blast, man.
Yeah.
And you have to be shameless and just keep going because those people don't want what you want. So you got to get them on the radar.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do you have that conversation with a kid and you say, all right, here's the deal. Go do this. Close the loop. And they never call you.
And they never do it. And like I tell every single one of them, like, I don't care, especially if you don't care.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing is you don't care. So why would I waste my time with people who don't care? And it sounds harsh, but I'm like, listen, man, my time is very valuable. Like, you know what I mean? I don't charge kids for like mentoring. I don't charge kids for like workouts and stuff like that. Like, if you are serious about this and you're hungry, I will help you in whichever way that I can. I will bring every resource at my disposal to you. But if you embarrass me by not caring after I bring those resources or before, like, I'm not dealing with it. Because, you know, it's important to work hard and you have to really, like, you have to want what you want and nobody else, and understand that nobody's going to want it for you. And I'm one of those people that I do not want it for you. I don't want it for you. So that's how I deal with them, you know.
When you got in trouble, were you in trouble with Gino or CD?
See, that's a trick question because I never got in trouble.
Oh, there you
Okay.
go. Yeah.
CD is the police. So I have my thoughts about the police, right?
They're the ops. They're the ops.
Hey. CD, but like I said, like
She
CD and
sends
Gino,
me
good cop, bad cops.
She sends me a nice thank you note every time I do anything.
Listen, I love CD to death, right? I love her to death. But I bought her a plaque for Christmas one year when I was playing, and they called her the hater of the century. I gave her that award.
That's a pretty prestigious award to some people.
Prestigious.
Though.
The
hater
of the
players
Yeah, the century. And this is the century. And
That's gonna be the clip. She ain't gonna talk to you for about
she
5
had
more years.
that plaque is hung up in her office to this day.
She's shining it right now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
listen, but I told CD the other day that was necessary, man, because when you're in business, people try you. People play with you all the time. So you have to be the one that's like always making sure that you're, you know what I mean? Everyone's on top of everything. And that was CD. You don't like it when you're the one who she's checking up on, right? But CD's like the regulator, man. So, you know. So if you were to get in trouble, more than likely, if Gino was upset, he would send CD to you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he was a good cop, she was a bad cop. I don't know if the roles reversed. They just all seem pretty soft to me now in their old age, but
Don't they?
but It's
Don't
okay.
they?
I guess maybe, you know, they get older and the kids stay the same age.
Yeah. All right. Real quick. Let's do some questions. All right. So you already said mine were the greatest ever on women's side.
I would argue that.
Who's your favorite men's player in the game right now?
In the game right now.
In the game right now.
Dang, that's tough because the NBA sucks right now.
There you go. That's a good clip.
Nah,
clip.
man.
Hey, viewership is down 40% over 2 years, 28% from last year to this year.
For the last 10 years, I haven't watched the NBA until the playoffs.
Well, that's the hypothesis is like the regular season games have become so meaningless that
I've gone to games at Barclays Center to see the Lakers play, and I don't like the Lakers and the players on the Lakers, but I go there for the one game that they're going to play in Brooklyn, and the star players aren't playing.
Yeah.
Why?
What do they call that?
Load management.
Load management.
These are the most highest paid players in the history of the league.
$60 million,
and they don't want to play.
We're not going to put you on
games.
TV. Yeah.
And they don't want to play 82 games. And so, like, it's just a lot about that I don't respect. And it's not good basketball. Most people if you talk about the game of basketball, people talk about how the women's game is a symphony. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's execution of an offense. The men's game is just a high pick and roll and a dunk and a shot, you know, a 3-point shot behind the line. It's not really much happening.
Well, you helped us with a little something for the TikTok kids.
So my favorite player, no, but back in the day,
LeBron.
Hey, I didn't say his name.
LeBron showed up down in Miami. I was down there for Basel. They got blown out like 40 points.
I mean,
it was atrocious.
I mean, like I said, I'm not hating on LeBron, but that load management stuff makes me upset.
Yeah, if you buy a ticket, forget it. You buy a ticket and the guy doesn't come out and play.
Forget that. I'm a team owner.
Yeah.
And these guys, we pay for 82 games, and these guys pay 60, and they don't pay 22 because they're tired. Or I want to save them for the playoffs. Like, come on, that stuff pissed me off. So my favorite players growing up, because I'm not gonna give anybody in this league right now. I'm gonna say John Morant's cool because he's from South Carolina, and he's a very, very talented player.
He don't like the police either.
I mean, he needs to. I'm happy he's reformed. He's put it
he's
that
reforming.
Yeah, because that was wild for a second. But I'm an advocate for him and him becoming more mature.
Yeah,
because that shit was just dumb. But anyway. Phenomenal player, and it's the South Carolina. It's the South Carolina, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dirt that he came up on. Other than that, I mean, Manu Ginobili was one of my favorite players.
Wow.
Obviously, Manu was my guy.
You don't hear it that often.
Manu Ginobili was my favorite player. I used to like watching the Spurs because Spurs offense,
great,
and Manu was incredible. One of my favorite players. And obviously like Jordan, those guys like that. But
yeah, everybody likes Jordan.
I can't really give too much shout out.
Manu Ginobili's like an actual, like, whoa.
Manu was tough. I don't care what nobody, and you can't even argue with me. No one can argue with that. Manu Ginobili was tough.
What, other than the WNBA, what sport are you watching right now?
Nothing.
You working.
I mean, what sports are on right now? College football.
They got this new thing where they throw a beanbag at a hole.
Yeah, no,
like that's on ESPN now. And then I seen
cornhole?
and I seen some axe throwing occasionally on ESPN.
The only things I turn on is women's basketball right now.
Right now.
Yeah, and I'm.
Do you prefer W or college? Right now.
I mean, college is here right now, and the W's in the summer, so I'm gonna say college.
Yeah. Right now, this week,
yeah. If you ask me in the summer, it might be the W. I'm a season ticket holder for the Liberties too.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of women's basketball. I'm a supporter of women's basketball, and I try to catch it anytime I can because it wasn't as exposed as it is now as it was when I was playing. So I really appreciate, it being so available for everyone to watch.
You got $1 million. Where are you going?
That's it.
If you got $1 million, where are you going? Where's the party at?
I told you, I'm going to put a blindfold. It'd be somewhere in Jamaica probably. Or in the woods in South Carolina. That's pretty cool too, but it's too many snakes in South Carolina.
Yeah.
It's too wild. So Jamaica might be the place.
Jamaica.
Yeah. At an undisclosed location. You have a great time, trust me.
You pull the party. Fly the jet in.
Yeah. Or we ask, certain people to give it to Chopper and because it might be in a mountainous region that we have to, you know what I mean?
Do you what's the number one thing you want to see happen in the world this year?
The number one thing?
Yeah.
I just want the world to be a more loving place, man. Less greed, more empathy for the
So
less
now you
fortunate.
turn into a hippie. You used to
I
be
am
an
a hippie,
entrepreneur
man.
at the beginning of the show. Now
Nah,
you're a
man,
hippie.
you know, the world is a very volatile place right now, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that, I wish I could not think about it. I wish I could ignore certain things, but I just wanted the world to be a more peaceful place. And
What did you think about
Yeah.
the drones and all that shit?
man, listen, man, I'm gonna tell you this straight up like this, man. The government is fishy and nefarious, and I don't have a lot of trust in our government institutions. They're secretive about the wrong stuff. Like if it was a foreign country, like that little balloon that flew somewhere, and it was
Yeah.
a China, they're like, oh my gosh, a red scare, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like some drones that the heat sensors can't detect, that they're probably testing something somewhere, and they're like, oh, there's nothing to worry about. Like, come on, man. Like, it's not right. Those drones, something's not right about that.
Yeah.
And
I'm
they-
not going to be spending New Year's Eve in New York City. I'll tell you that.
Ah,
Tell you that.
I might be out of
Yeah.
here too. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me,
David
man. This
Noble
was
Show,
fun,
that was
man.
fun.
This was fun. I hope I didn't say nothing that would get me canceled.
No, I
but-
don't think you can
But
cancel.
who can cancel me? That's the other question.
That's
yeah.
not, like, dude, you're uncancelable. You should
Yeah.
be me.
Yeah.
You should be me.
Yeah.
I can get canceled for anything. I can get canceled for smiling these days, dude.
Hey. Look,
You know?
No, I appreciate you having me, man. This was fun.
No, it's I have a lot of respect for you, and I think the idea is some people talk about making the world better. Like I've actually been around you. You try to help. You try to help the girls on the team. You try to help people in your community. You even bring gifts when you show up on the podcast. So like,
Yeah. I'm
and
doing
then
it. I'm doing it selfishly, man. Whatever I do to help, I'm just hoping somewhere down the line, somewhere on
well,
somebody.
don't
help
worry.
me.
You're gonna get a free pair of Nads underwear,
Okay.
men's underwear.
Okay.
Like that's the sponsor of the show. So
Okay, cool, man.
yeah, you gotta.
I don't have much use for the hole in the front, but
No,
man.
but yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like yeah.
The girls tend to get the most
So,
excited.
know,
so,
I
that,
know,
so
I
Dan,
know, that's
Dan,
right.
Dan Baird is a UConn alum, and he's founded the company. He swears to God that like 20% of his sales are to women buying them for pajamas.
Is it cotton?
It's organic cotton.
Okay,
so
good,
that's the whole
man.
thing. Better
Yeah.
for balls underwear.
Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah,
'cause,
yeah. It's
all this-
organic. It's like
Yeah.
you
can't be
no
having-
microplastics.
You can't have no microplastics
Down
in
in-
front of
yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
He's
Yeah,
I
I can wear those. Yeah, nah, man.
nah, dude. It's like the whole thing. That's like his bag. Like he's
Okay.
selling underwear with no microplastics.
That's crazy. I'm pretty sure that bag is getting large, man, because they poisoning us, man. They're poisoning us on the clothes and the food and all that, man. That's why
Like,
we gotta
who the fuck thinks to poison clothes and food? Like that is that not the stupid like I don't know.
But they do it.
They saving 50 cents?
But they do it.
Yeah. Crazy.
So I don't know why. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you,
I
man. Appreciate it.